Killing is the taking of life, and that is at least its fundamental definition. But killing is far more to some others. To the public, it's a horror and a sin. To the courts, it's a crime and an atrocity. To the victim, it's a nightmare come true. But to some, it's art. It's a masterpiece. That is how Danny Johnson views his work, as the Ghostface Killer. And welcome, my friends, back to the fog, where death and pain are the only certainties, where survivors play a mad game with a mad god against mad killers. And among the many killers who stalk the night, there are some who feel that the art of murder is one so poorly understood that they feel duty-bound to bring this unique brand of artistry into the limelight and share it with the world. Danny Johnson has gone by many names in his life, but the one many know him by recently is Jed Olson, the freelance article writer for the Roseville newspaper. Jed seemed like a nice fellow, filled with an easygoing disposition and an old American value kind of mindset. He was well liked by the staff, and it was easy for him to mingle and mix into the mold without effort. What they didn't see was the madness beneath. But if you asked Danny, he'd say it wasn't madness, but passion. The passion of an artist and storyteller desperate to share his vision with the world. But good art takes time, of course. When you don the mask, you're more than a killer. Any idiot can pick up a knife and gut a stranger in a messy and bloody spectacle, but it has no class, no beauty, no meaning. It's lousy, fake, and dripping with the mundane and repetitive cluelessness of the inept. Those who kill for the sake of emotion, revenge, or petty opportunity are all a dime a dozen. But when you don the mask of Ghostface, you are more than a mere murderer. You're a master. Danny spent days, even weeks, hunting his prey. Vulnerable, alone, unawares. He memorized their patterns, their homes, their daily lives, right down to what breakfast cereal they favored. He'd slip into their homes at night and move around their living area to understand them. And then, when he felt he truly knew them, truly had an idea and understanding of who they were, then he could take their lives. Why? Because there's no meaning in cutting a life short until you've understood it. You're snuffing out a whole life, after all, and the value in that lies in the little emotions, the subtle feelings, the seemingly meaningless distractions and habits. Those small little traits and hobbies you thought nothing of add up to make you who you are. And a true master of death knows this, exploits this, and embraces this. That's why Danny has no patience for copycats. When he learned about a group of teens killing in his name, copying him, he was infuriated, outraged and maddened with a vengeful rage. He knew it was beneath him. He knew it would be sloppy work, but they had to learn. They had to pay. The deed was messy and bloody, but Danny got his revenge, and many came to learn that this was an artist of rare, exceptional talent, but also jealous anger. And when Jed Olson was done in Roseville, he left a lovely note for the paper with his resignation and a promise that he was far from done. Oh, the looks of shock, fear, and panic on their faces must have been priceless. But Roseville was old news now. It was time to move on to new pieces, new glorious works of bloody art to try. But what Danny didn't know was that his work had caught the attention of another art lover, an entity who found itself very impressed with Danny's work. The Ghostface had a new commissioner, and it wasn't taking no for an answer. Not that Danny would say no. As the fog claimed the Ghostface, he only smiled in anticipation, thinking of the glorious new art he could create. So the iconic Ghostface is one of the most well-known slasher killers in the media. Its haunting but slightly comedic expression has made itself known mostly through the movie Scream and through the parody movie Scary Movie. Now, I have not seen Scream, but I can tell you this. I like Danny's story, but I've seen it before. The killer who sees death as art, I hate to say it, but it's been done a lot. Literally, the Joker referred to himself as an artist in the Batman movie.
I now do what other people only dream. I make art until someone dies. See? I am the world's first fully functioning homicidal artist.
And you, of course, have characters like Hannibal Lecter and a plethora of anime serial killers, many of whom see their killing as some kind of higher purpose or misunderstood piece of artistry. Look, it's not that this trope is bad, but it's been done. I mean, to be perfectly honest, I feel that Ghostface is just a slightly more intense version of Michael Myers, even in terms of his power, which we'll get to in a moment. But his whole motif is stalking and learning about his prey before pouncing on them, which is fine, but it's nothing different than I wouldn't expect from any other serial killer. So yeah, his lore was fine, it was good, don't get me wrong, I did enjoy it, but I'd be lying if I say I didn't kind of expect it. It didn't really do anything that jumped out at me. It was a well-written story. It's kind of like when you go to a steakhouse and you get steak and it's like, oh, yep, that is the most steak I've ever steaked, you know? It tastes good, you enjoy it, but it doesn't wow you, it doesn't blow your mind. It's something that you don't write home about, you just go, yeah, good steak, I liked it. And that's kind of how I feel about the Ghostface Killer. Now, as for his power, like I said, I feel it's a reference to Michael Myers, but let me explain what I mean. It's good. I just feel it has mixed results as far as I'm concerned. Ghostface's power is Night Shroud. When his power gog is filled, Ghostface can activate Night Shroud, which takes away his terror radius and makes him undetectable. Now, while in this state, Ghostface can move about as normal and stalk survivors, and to help him do this, Ghostface is capable of crouching, which makes him harder to see and detect. But as a result, he moves slower. While in Night Shroud mode, if Ghostface spots a survivor, he can begin to stalk them. Stalking a survivor fills a marked meter. Once filled, the survivor is immediately exposed and can be downed in one hit. For this power to work, Ghostface must remain unseen. If a survivor spots Ghostface and stares at him, it will immediately deactivate Night Shroud and it can cancel the stalking action. Once knocked out of Night Shroud, Ghostface's terror radius returns and he can be detected. Plus, the power gog depletes and must be refilled over time before it can be reused. This power is, like I said, fundamentally the same, but also slightly different from Michael Myers, or the Shape, in DBD. Both powers involve stalking survivors and filling a meter to expose them, but Myers can expose the entire survivor team for a short period with his power. The Ghostface can only expose specific survivors he focuses on. Plus, Myers' power can only be stopped by breaking line of sight. Survivors can stop a Ghostface by simply staring at him.
Lost property taken to the police. After that, it goes to the fund. Larry found Edgeworth's weekly lunch money. It had fallen out of his bag when I ran into it. Later, I got blamed for.
This means that, unlike Myers, Ghostface must remain stealthy to be effective. And that's why I think I struggle a bit more with Ghostface than with Michael Myers. Ghostface, to me, is a little bit trickier because it requires me to be stealthy, and some survivors are very smart and know to check corners, they know what to look out for, they know what to be careful of, and when they notice a Ghostface, they stare at him to break that Night Shroud and then take off running. Can't tell you how many times I've started stalking a survivor only for all of them to run away like a group of deer, you know, it's one of those things. But it takes some practice, and I think a lot of people who put in the time and practice to get Ghostface right come out really well. I'll tell you what, I have a lot of trouble going up against really good Ghostfaces. Now, as for his perks, Ghostface perks are actually pretty stellar. He has I'm All Ears, Thrilling Tremors, and Fet of Chase. I'm All Ears is very helpful in finding survivors quickly. Any survivor performing a rush vault action 48 meters from you will have their aura exposed to you for 6 seconds, allowing you to zero in on their location. Now, the thing about this perk is it doesn't work quite as well for the Ghostface as it does for other killers. See, here's why. If a survivor performs a rushed vault, odds are good that it means they've seen you and are making a break for it. However, the perk is still useful for maintaining the line of sight of a survivor and making sure they don't try to juke you at a difficult looping point. One thing that constantly happens to me is if I'm chasing a survivor and they jump a window that has walls running along it, they may start to run one way down the wall, expecting me to follow, but then while I'm running on the other side of the wall, they may suddenly turn around without me noticing and start running the other way, thus increasing their distance from me. This perk allows it so that I can see their aura, and if they try to do that, I'll notice it early. So that is a way it works well. The thing is, I don't think it's used as well with Ghostface's power, because if they're running from you, they've already noticed you, and thus Night Shroud is no longer useful to you. His second perk, Thrilling Tremors, activates when you pick up a downed survivor. Any generator not being repaired will be blocked by the entity for 16 seconds, and you can see the highlight of all blocked generators in white. This is a great way to prevent survivors from running to find more gens, and allows you to know which gens the survivors are currently on by which gen doesn't get blocked. If you see a gen not blocked, you know where your next target's at, and you better run over there quickly.
The coast isn't clear, so sally forward. Okay, stay blue.
What was your plan? Were you just giving it to me or something?
And then finally, Fet of Chase. Now, it's about to get an update, so I don't have any footage of me using it here, but I'll tell you what we know. When you hook the Obsession, this perk gains a token up to a maximum of 4. For each token, your terror radius decreases by 5 meters while in the chase. Now, you might be thinking, but Raven, you can only hook a survivor 3 times before they die. How on earth can you get 4 tokens? That means you'd have to hook the Obsession 4 times, and that's not possible. Well, it's easy, because when the Obsession is rescued from the hook, the survivor who did the rescue will become the new Obsession. This perk promises to be helpful in the chase and in deceiving survivors easier while honed in on the target. Many people would wonder, why on earth would it be a good thing if your terror radius is lessened while in the chase? At that point, isn't it a waste? Not really, because you need to consider a couple factors. For one thing, terror radius buffs and nerfs that affect this killer, so there could be certain perks that affect your terror radius. And 2, while you're chasing the survivor, if they get a certain distance away, the terror radius will weaken, and they may think they've lost you, which means they'll stop earlier than they should, which gives you the chance to move in and take them. So there is a way to use it. So in conclusion, what I think about Ghostface. Like I said, I haven't really watched the famous Scream movie that he's based on, and I really don't have a lot of interest in it. I did see Scary Movie, and it was a very, very, very funny, if stupid movie. But here's the thing about Ghostface that kind of gets me. While he is an iconic killer, and there's definitely, like, you know, you're kind of impressed by him. You're kind of impressed by, like, how popular he is in the movie industry and in the pop culture industry. I can't say he's my favorite. I know, sacrilegious, because a lot of people swear by Ghostface as one of the best horror slasher killers of all time. But to me, particularly in Dead by Daylight, his lore doesn't give me a whole lot to really chew on. I mean, it's interesting, you know, a guy who sees murder as art. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely creepy. It's definitely creative. It's got something there. But to me, it's like, I've seen it, you know, a lot of other characters that I've seen have done this kind of thing before, and, you know, some of them have even done it better. I think it would have been neat if we kind of explored Danny's reason for doing this. Like, what made him, what was the thing that led him to realize that death could be an art form? Did he do it to animals, starting out kind of like the way the clown did it? Did he do it to a friend of his? Did he do it to his father? Did he do it? I know that in the tome, it establishes that his father before him was a Ghostface killer, which that would have been interesting to explore. What if we explored that relationship? Why did he want to follow in his father's footsteps? Why did he idolize his father? Where was his mother in this? Like, there's a lot you could explore in terms of why he came to feel this way, what made him this way, and that might have given us something more juicy to chew on, but otherwise, not a whole lot. In terms of his power, I like it. It's a cool power. I'm just not good at using it. And his perks are pretty good. I actually do like his perks for the most part. But that about wraps up the Ghostface Killer. We're now about to move into the Stranger Things chapter of Dead by Daylight. And we reach a problem. I've never watched Stranger Things, and I don't have a lot of interest in watching it. So we'll have to see how we approach this. But for now, guys, that's going to wrap up our time in the fog. And I will see you next time. Take care.